This episode of PDX Spotlight is brought to you in association with Portland Radio Project. Welcome to PDX Spotlight. I'm your host, Luke Neal. We have the Cabin Project, so welcome to PRP.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, the record is fantastic. I do want to talk to you about what inspired it, but let's talk about the evolution of the band since Unfolded. I mean, that was summer of 2016 release, and 2.5 years later, how has the band changed?
Yeah, so much has changed. So we finished Unfolded, and that was its own journey. And in that process, toured it a little bit. In that process, our third bandmate, Rebecca Hansen, who we had been playing with for a couple of years, so had some kind of work life things happen where she wasn't able to tour as much. So at that moment, we had also been fed these two kids' name by actually an old Cabin Project member, Adam Sweeney, who said, you got to meet these two. And I was like, well, the thing is, like, we're looking for, like, violin and, like, maybe bass. And he was like, that's what they play. So, we invited Gene and Kelly over and had sent a couple songs to prep. And we all played together. And it was, like, kind of instantaneous. We knew we had found something special. And we've been in this formation ever since.
Kelly, I wasn't as familiar with your work at the time, but I love Rebecca. She was killer, did a lot of great work on the record. But when I heard Gene was on board with the Cabin Project, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's really amazing is when we get all 5 of us in the room.
Yeah.
But that's
pretty epic.
less. That's more rare these days.
Yeah, that's killer.
Rebecca did record on this album on a few songs.
Right on. That's great.
Yeah.
Good. She'll make an appearance. I think it's cool that you're doing a full LP. Was there a decision behind doing that versus everybody going, we're going to chop up and do 6 2-song EPs?
We were actually going to do that because we had just hung out with our friend Erin McCone, and she had just done that, and we were like, man, this sells really well. And that was literally what we were going to do. And
our songs were they felt like 2 records
yeah,
at the time.
we were actually initially when we started this project, it was this CD. It sounded a lot more folkier, kind of like more of our original kind of music. And so we were like, let's just go back to folk rock for some reason. And then, and then we played a couple of songs, and then, we went away from that. So we just ended up putting it all together.
I really like full lengths. I like, mapping a journey and then making that journey happen. And I feel like with 5 songs, 6 songs, it's harder to do for us because we're so dramatic.
We also got excited with Gene and Kelly and just like pumped out song. Like, I think it took us only like a month to write half of it and then a month to write the other half. It was very quickly
really
done.
fast.
Yeah.
It wasn't stressful for you guys at all.
No.
It was at some points.
Yeah.
5 but overall, no, not at all.
Yeah.
The songwriting process felt really natural.
Yeah.
And we'd been touring a lot, so we got to like workshop all these songs on the road, which is amazing when you're playing a show every single night to get to play these songs really cohesively together. It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot different than our last LP because we had been playing those songs for a couple years before we had recorded them. So it was like pure just live. We just wanted to get it on there. We did tour this stuff a little bit, but definitely way less than in the past. Like I think we recorded a few of the last songs right before we went on tour, and that was like different for us. So it was fun though because we came back to it, and then we did a lot of post-production stuff, which we also didn't do on the last album. So Katie did a lot of stuff in her own studio.
Watch a burning bowl of all my troubles set behind the veil as we divide
Was there a central theme to maybe something you're all going through that inspired this record? In our day and age, there's plenty of things to write about. But I'm just always interested, was there a common thread for your inspiration?
Yeah, there did end up being a common thread. I mean, there's a lot of, there are many more politics in this record. But there's still a lot of like heartbreak theme stuff. Yeah. But the theme that ended up kind of, I think, being sewn through all of them was really this ability, or like the importance of like stepping outside your own story and kind of witnessing and being able to name other stories around the same event, whether that be in a relationship, whether that be the way we show up in the world. And so the importance of decentering your own self so that you can get a fuller picture of kind of what's going on around you, like definitely ended up being something I think that showed up throughout the record.
That's awesome. I hadn't thought of it from that angle of kind of the ego elimination. Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. Let's talk about producers, studio. Who brought this sonic gem to life for us?
This, we in the last record, we did it at the Map Room and fell in love with Josh Powell, who mixed the record and engineered it. And we decided we had to go with him again.
Yeah.
So Map Room, I totally recommend that space. It's got a great vibe, and also Josh is just like brilliant to work with.
Yeah. And then we mastered with Sarah Register, who's in New York.
Yeah. Oh, right on. Yeah. Cool.
We went out of state, which is, I know, not Portland local friendly. But
yeah.
Well, they say to get fresh airs on your mixes.
Yeah.
And Portland and New York is pretty fresh.
Yeah, and it was, honestly, she was amazing. Like, it was the first time I've ever worked with a master who was, like, actually...
like excited.
Was excited and, like, paid attention to the journey and, like, talked us through all of, like, her thought process in each decision. And it was a great process.
Yeah.
Kelly, even more interesting from your perspective, what is it like going into the Cabin Project where they traditionally don't have a bassist live? You know, it's obviously on the records and stuff. You kind of had to form your own identity in the band. How was that process?
Well, it was fun, but it was challenging because I'm not used to this style. And since the Cabin Project is really, really full already, there wasn't an obvious spot where I fit. And so sometimes what will end up happening is, I do have a lot of space in the low end to play the low notes. And there's other times where I just choose to play a harmony to Katie's guitar because I just don't know where else to go.
Sure.
And it works. It's fine. There's certain times where, with writing, I'll make up a bass line that it actually doesn't transfer to bass very well, which is nice. Like Gene and I are in the same house together. I have this bass line that sounds really cool, but it's not going to work on bass. So I just say, Gene, do you want to play this? And that little violin solo and scaffold was going to be a bass line.
Oh, right on.
But I'm like, no.
And I actually, I want you to write all my violin parts because it's something I never would have, physically thought of. Because, we think violinists, I really think in keys, and not necessarily, thinking about what notes I'm playing, but physical memory is in keys. So Kelly's not attached to any of that. So it's really cool to just get something completely out of left field that I never would have thought of and sounds amazing.
Our fretboards are wildly different.
Yeah.
It's going to elicit a different melody.
So Katie and Zanny, how is it now having the relationship you have as musicians and these years of history? How is it working with Gene and Kelly coming into the project?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is easy.
It is. And they've played together before in another project. And so they work really well together already. And then it was way more natural than I think we thought it would be. And so it was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm able to do a lot more now that we have a bass player. I was doing a lot of bass stuff on either between me or the synth, or Rebecca or the synth. I was having to kind of take that role. So it means I can just be a drummer, which is so nice and relaxing.
Use your left hand as a drummer.
I don't have to synth left hand.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then Gene is just kind of a crazy fun thing to watch on stage. So I feel like we were able, our show got, no offense to anyone else that was previously in our band, but our show definitely was enhanced just by having everyone kind of be able to relax and just have fun.
Yeah, Jean is a PDX Spotlight alumnus.
I am.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of filming her with Falconheart
Yep.
and Mississippi Studio. And it's the same every time I see Jean play. She's just all smiles. Had the pleasure of working with her in a production standpoint in the studio, same thing. Getting her to track stuff and just smile. It's just such a pleasure to watch you play.
I just love to do it. And I feel like it's almost dangerous because I completely forget where I am or that there's people looking at me, and it's good and bad because it's like I just completely forget. But
That's awesome. That's
We think it's
beautiful.
good.
Yeah.
good. We'll keep it.
I second that. Let's talk about how it all went down there, especially in the second half. There's this relentless rhythm. The drums are really great, but the way you matched all the harmonies and vocals with the second half of the song is brilliant. Tell me about how this thing came to us.
This song?
Yeah.
I love this song. It's my favorite for sure. And it definitely, so the whole kind of like concept of the song kind of really began with wanting bass and guitar to have like a part that really set the tone from the beginning. And actually the way that song got written is like I kind of mapped it out, sent these Kelly and Jean, or everyone, a version of it. Zanny wasn't able to make that rehearsal, and so I was like, well, let's just like jam on it and see what happens. And it completely came together. The three of us kind of came together in the way that we were like, oh, it's done. I think we can take it to Zanny. And so we took it to her, and she was like, I guess I'll play this, but like this is done. I mean, it wrote itself.
I was so
really
stoked.
think like the arrangement itself, like and all the parts wrote itself in like 2 rounds. Like we went through it twice, and we were like, cool.
It's
It
so
was
rad.
great.
Looking out on the dash of a moving car.
So when you're putting this record together and you're starting to hear everything come out of the map room and you're getting the final mixes and your masters, is this close to the sound that you were trying to capture when they were, just little seeds of song ideas?
Well, so on this,
No.
sorry, I keep talking. They aren't. So I really wanted, I'm so excited about our live show, but I really, really want on this record to not try to capture our live show, but try to capture the energy through a more intimate sound.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is really hard to do, right? When you've got like a super loud rock band, and how can you make that intimate? So that ended up being a lot of the comp work and arranging work that I did at home, which was basically taking all the tracks and then saying, okay, who's singing in which parts, and how can I carve out the other space so that in each of those parts, like each of these instruments can like really shine.
Yeah.
So that was like, it took a lot of time and a lot of like pulling things out. Like, at some points I would just like pull out all the instruments and leave two. And I was like, yep, that's the way that's going to be. And I do think it ended up kind of mimicking like what happens live.
I want to talk to you about your regiment. Is this just pure talent, or
Yes.
do you all get together 4 or 5 times a week?
Well, Katie and I work out almost every day. Just kidding. Yes, we get together about once a week.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we try to do that.
But I will say I have a rehearsal with myself before rehearsal with these guys because they're so freaking good. So
Yeah.
I definitely
And
need to like up my game
Kelly
every
and
week.
Jean play in a bunch of other bands. Like, we're all kind of really busy working with other stuff. Katie did one of her first pit orchestra musicals this summer. Played Hedwig in the Great Angry Inch. So
Right
like
on.
we're all like busy musicians. So I think our chops, like I get a big chops workout from a bunch of other things.
You were in the orchestra pit for a while last year, too.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's so rad.
And yeah, Kelly plays in a sweet blues band, and Jean's at Vancouver Symphony, and
Doing all
other
kinds
things.
of stuff.
Yeah. So
All the good things.
It's all
the good
about,
things.
personal practice, I think,
Yeah.
too. Especially when you're playing something like violin, it's like there's no way of getting around it. So
Sure, yeah.
You just have to show up prepared. And I think with this band, it's just I really enjoy what we do. So it makes it easy on top of being prepared.
they're amazing because they came to us and we're like, we're going on tour. You got to learn 3-hour show, and like we threw them like 60 songs. to learn.
I didn't get one chart.
And like no charts
No chord
at all.
charts.
Yeah. And they were like, do it, figure it out. And
it was a
and
great
they had
tour.
it. Yeah, they had it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Here's your set list.
Like still learning songs for the first show. Like, this one.
It was really good. It was a great tour. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you again for being here. We're going to play the title track and probably some of the best dynamic just choices on the record. It's a really great song. Why is this the title track? And let's talk about it.
Ooh.
We were gonna have how it all went down.
Yeah.
It
It
was
gonna
the
be the
title
time.
track for a long time. Yeah.
This song just once we recorded it, it popped, and I think kind of what I was talking about before, the theme that happened throughout the record. This was the most explicit form of that, of kind of like calling out the need to step outside and understand that the picture that we see is not the full picture. And because it was the song that like exemplified that the most. And it was our most upbeat song. We have a habit of like being super moody. And we wanted to just kind of like begin with a bang.
we were like, why not put a long minute instrumental intro at the very beginning of the CD?
It broke all the songwriting, whatever rules.
it
And we were
broke
like,
all-
whatever.
Well, as always, I appreciate you spending the time with us today here on Portland Radio Project and, of course, PDX Spotlight. So until next time, I've been your host, Luke Neal, reminding you to support and discover local music. This is Cabin Project with D Center here on PRP.